একাত জইন কৰিলে ইউটিউব চলাই দে তই একসেপ্ট কৰি দে ইন্ট্ৰডাকশ্যন দি দিব পাৰিছ না মই সেয়া কৰি দিম হা কেইটা কৰিছে কিমান টাইম হৈ আছে মোৰ থপৰা চপৰা অলপ ঠিকে আছে নে তো আগত সময় দি দিব A very good morning to all the participants and our resource person. We are going to start our first day of the 2-day national webinar on environment concerns, problems and prospective solution. This webinar is organized by the Internal Quality Assurance Cells or IQAC of Barnagar College in collaboration with the Assam Science Society, Barnagar branch. Before we start the seminar, I'd like to give you a brief introduction of the host institution, Barnagar College. Barnagar College is one of the premier institutions of higher education in Barpeta district of Assam. Established in the year 1962 under the able and dynamic leadership of late Ghanshyam Talukdar, Barnagar College is marching ahead with pride and glory in its journey towards academic accomplishments, illuminating the society with knowledge. The college have all the three streams, arts, science and commerce. Under the able leadership of the present principal of the college, Dr. Biren Kumar Chakravarti, and his team of teaching and non-teaching staff, the college have achieved the position of being one of the top 120 colleges in India. Now, we would like to start our first lecture session. Our today's session will be inaugurated by respected Dr. Ashalata ma'am. So first, her will be the introductory lecture, keynote address, and I'd like to give a brief introduction of Dr. Ashalata ma'am. Dr. Ashalata Devi is an associate professor in the Department of Environmental Science of Tezpur University. Ma'am's area of specialization is forest ecology, conservation of biological diversity, indigenous knowledge systems, ecology on wildlife conservation and management, behavioral ecology of primates, plant and climate adaptations, socio-economic factors and indigenous conservation practices. Ma'am has 20 years of research experience and 18 years and 11 months of teaching experience. Ma'am is awarded with the Young Scientist of the Year 2017 award, which is conferred by the International Foundation for Environment and Ecology, Kolkata, on the occasion of 4th International Conference on Environment and Ecology held on 12 to 14 February 2018 at Guwahati University. Ma'am have also received Certificate of Appreciation for Contribution to Assam Biodiversity Portal of Assam State Biodiversity Board. She is felicitated by Assam Forest Minister Shri Parimal Suklabadda on 25th May 2018 at Netfi House Auditorium, Guwahati, Assam. She is also the Conservation Program Advisor of Balipara Foundation, Balipara Tract and Frontier Foundation, Sonitpur, Assam. Ma'am has completed 4 projects as a principal investigator and 1 project as co-principal investigator. She have right now ongoing 2 projects as principal investigator and 2 as co-principal. Under her guideship, 6 students have been awarded till date PhD. She have numerous publications, 45 papers in national international journals, 2 general articles, 3 seminar conference proceedings and 10 book chapters. She have also attended many professional events, workshops, seminar, congress, conferences, special training and orientation program. So with this brief introduction, I would request Dr. Ashalata ma'am to start with the presentation. Participants are requested to keep their mic in mute state and please put your questions in the chat box. Thank you. Hello ma'am, can you hear me? Hello, Ashalata ma'am. Hello ma'am. Ma'am, please put your mic in unmute state. We can't hear you. Hello ma'am. Ashalata ma'am. Hello ma'am. Ma'am, please unmute yourself. Ma'am, no, you have to, miss, I can't. You just check below, it is written unmute. There is a symbol, mic, which is cross caught. Okay, ma'am. It accept নকৰিবচোন, don't accept. নকৰিবচোন, মেমক বিচাৰিয়ে পোৱা নাই, মেমে আকৌ গুচি গ'ল নেকি?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. We can
Pallavi?
hear you. Very clear.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am. It's clear now. Hello, ma'am.
It's clear now. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have some interruption.
Yes, just ma'am.
Yes.
Give me 1 second. I'll just share this presentation.
Okay, fine.
Just 1 minute. YouTube side पे हाँ अभी सुनो ইউটিউবত কোচোন কি আহিছে এইটোত মই এটা কাম কৰোঁ Hello, ma'am. Hello, Ashalata, ma'am. Hello.
Yes, Pallavi.
Yes, ma'am. We are ready
Yes,
with
yes,
the
doctor.
presentation. Ma'am, we are ready.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am. We are ready with the presentation.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I'll start.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, you can start.
Okay, I will start it now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So good morning, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Pallavi, for the kind words of me that will have the audience to know about a brief regarding my teaching and research activities. Today, my presentation is on understanding environment and biodiversity. And here I would like to briefly relate with the effects of deforestation that is going in northeastern regions and what are the consequences effect. So my topic, it will be a very generalized topic, and I'm not putting much of the scientific facts and figure, but I hope these presentations will learn together what are the environment's problems and how we understand environment and what are the effects of the deforestation in the northeastern region. Next, please. So in the this slide, we see that what is environment? When we talk about the environment, means anything that surrounds us or anything that surrounds a particular organisms. It may be the living components or it may be the non-living component in characteristics. So that living things actually do not simply exist in the environment. They constantly interact with the surrounding environment and conditions, which may be the biotic or the abiotic in components. So there is interactions among the plants, animals, and interactions that is actually happening with the abiotic components like the soil, air, water, etc. So the conditions under which the any persons or the things that live is developed, and this sum total of influence actually modified and determine the developments of life and characters. So the balance of these factors determines what can be lived in a particular environment. From a diagrammatic representation, also we see that the abiotic components are there, biotic components are there, and how they are interrelated to each other to make their favorable habitat of existence and survival in that particular set of the environmental conditions. So like that, we human beings also try to set our own consonant environment conditions where the resources are available and we can have a healthy welfare life in that particular environment. And next, here, in this next slide, here I would like to posit what are the different components of the environment. You see, we have the abiotic component, as I mentioned in the previous slide. This consists of the atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and these all are also interacted with each other. Then these interactions actually makes the habitat for the living organisms. That is the biosphere, it is the zone of the earth where the life exists. And these are all infected by the other components of the life, that is the air, water, and the soil. So this biosphere, the sphere of the earth where the living organisms present, make the earth a unique planet in the solar system. Biosphere is interacting with the abiotic components all the times. And another way is that to understand the components of environment, we can think of as the natural environment, human environment, and then the human-made environment. So these living organisms in the natural habitat alone interacted with the other abiotic components makes the natural environment. And in the human environments, we have the human being, which is one of the important part of the environment. They do not only, we human beings not only interact with the environment, but we also modify it according to our own needs. And modifications done by the human being have destroyed our ecosystem. So man is responsible for degrading the environment by the deforestation, soil erosion, pollution, many things are there. So human being must maintain a balance between the natural and human environment so that we have to make a very balanced ecosystem where resource can be used wisely and we can keep it preserved for our future generation, understanding the concept of the sustainable development. So with this particular slide, I want to project how the vital components and vital components of the environment interact and influence each other to maintain a balanced ecosystem or the environments. Here we have the input and output of energy and matter and resources that make the balanced environment. So next slide, please. Pallavi, please, next slide.
Yes, ma'am.
In the another slide, actually I could not visual see the slide. So if it is the biosphere slide, then here we can see the different habitat or the ecosystem where the different life form exists. So we talk about the biosphere. It is the cell of the earth where life exists. Life exists on the land, water, as well as in the atmosphere also. So then the terrestrial components, the different type of the habitats that exist in the terrestrial landscape, we can talk about the forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, desert, and shrubland, and even the tundra regions. So these all habitats under the terrestrial landscape brings diverse species of the flora and fauna, and helping that is also helping to maintain a balanced ecosystem. At the same time, we human beings are also getting resources from these diverse habitats. From the forest, we get numbers of the resources, which may be the provisioning, or which may be the cultural, which may be the ecological services. Likewise, from the aquatic ecosystem also, whether it is the terrestrial ecosystem or the whether it is the freshwater ecosystem or the saltwater ecosystem, we get numbers of the resources from these habitats.
Hello, ma'am. You are not audible, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. You are not audible, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. You are not audible, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. You are not audible, ma'am.
Disconnect হৈ গ'ল দেখছানে কানেক্ট মই কৰিব নোৱাৰোঁ নহয় তেখেতেহে আহিব লাগিব এইটো আছে এইবিলাক উপায় নাই আৰু বিৰাট দিগদাৰী Ma'am, you got disconnected. Huh. Yes, ma'am. Your name is. Ma'am, please again enter, ma'am. You got disconnected. Means we cannot hear you anything suddenly. Ye- Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Government approval. Participants, kindly wait. There is slight technical disturbance. We are not able to connect with the resource person. We are trying our level best. Just wait for 1 minute till the technical error ends. कोई ऐसे
Pali, hello. Hello.
Hello, ma'am. Yeah. Hello. Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you say from which slide I need to start? Slide number.
Yes, you are audible and visible, ma'am. Yes,
Pallavi
audible
is
and visible.
audible over.
Ma'am, slide number.
Pallavi, is it audible?
Yes, ma'am. It's audible now. Ma'am, which slide? Ma'am, can you tell me the slide number?
I think I almost completed slide number 4.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can proceed, ma'am.
Okay, so resuming the talk. Now we are in slide number 5. I have Pallavi.
Okay, ma'am.
So after understanding the biosphere is one of the important components of the environment and which form the existence of the life in different habitats of the aquatic and terrestrial ecosystem. We have now the biodiversity. So what is biodiversity? We said the variety and variability of the life that exists on the earth. So in one sense, we can say it is the sum total of the life at all levels of organizations in the biological system. This may be of the flora, fauna that includes all the microorganisms present in different habitats of the terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem. And each of these species is also classified within a hierarchy that actually reflect their evolutionary classifications of the life. So we have animal kingdoms, plants kingdoms, like that. And then the diverse species that we have on the earth now, it is actually the results of the 4 billion years of the evolution. So I had gone through 7 evolution first, and that will come out with that of the diverse species on the earth. And if we see the distribution of the species on the earth across the globe, we see that some parts of the globes are very rich in species diversity, where some parts of the globes are very poor in species diversity. Generally, we see that the tropical regions are very rich in species diversity compared to that of the polar regions. So that the pattern of the altitudinal gradients and latitudinal gradients match the distributions of the species at the different patterns. So now, please be in the slide number 6, Pallavi. We have the diagrammatic representations out here where you can see the latitudinal gradients, how the diversity of the species keep on changes from the equator to the polar regions. Similarly, when the altitude increases, the type of the vegetations that do have in different altitudes also keep on changing. In the polar regions, we have the very less species diversity as it is largely covered by the snow and the ice cover out here. And below them, we have the tundra regions. We are the very narrow vegetative plot of the plants. But the kind of the species of the plants and animals that presents in the tundra region is very unique in characteristics, where that particular species cannot be present in the tropical or the temperate regions. So in the tropical regions, we have the tropical rainforests. The diverse species in terms of the plants and animals found in the tropical rainforest is found in the lower latitudes and in the lower altitude. So from the diagrammatic representations also one can see here as the latitude increases as it goes from the tropics to the polar regions, the kind of the vegetation's diversity keep on decreases. So the more the vegetation diversity, the more is the associated wild elements presence out here. So similarly in case of the altitude and gradients also. So here in this particular slide number 7, I just want to present that across the globe, it is hypothetically estimated that about the 50 million species might be present all across the globe. But as per the IUCN 2004, what is being reported so far or studied well in depth of the scientific level is about 1.5 millions of them. So it means that fewer of the species is just being studied, and we are much more to inventarize, discover the species, and to understand their economic and the potential values, and to make the database of the biological diversity updated. That is very essential part so that we can go for inventarizations of the species in different parts of the globe where less kind of the explorations has been done. And if we see the estimated proportions of described species, we see that most of these species are largely under the animals, and then among the animals also insects do contribute the highest proportions. So these are the some data where the scientists so far have discovered and studied scientifically up to the levels. in terms of the biological diversity. And this particular slide number 8 actually gives the kingdoms, animals kingdom, plants kingdoms, and all that it contributes, and what are their approximate number of the non-species presence out there. Then I'll go to slide number 9. So in the slide number 9, we see that biological diversity as a resource, as a bioresource. So there are the three approaches where we need to understand the biological diversity in terms of the values, which may be the direct use values or which may be the indirect use values. So we have the consumptive use value, the values of the resource, or the bioresources that are harvested or collected by the local people from their surrounding natural habitat, and that collected resources or harvested resources are used for their daily requirements, to meet their daily requirements or the livelihood requirements. So there is no point of the market transactions out there. But when we talk about the productive use value, that the resources are harvested or collected for the commercial purpose, the market transactions involves in kind of the productive use value, and it do have some kind of the monetary gain to the local people as they collect the resources and sell to the market, and they get the monetary benefits out there. So these are all the direct use value, and to be mentioned, we can have a list of these direct use value, like the food that we get from the forest, the kind of the use, fodder for the livestock, different types of the medicinal plants present out there, crop varieties, wild varieties of the crops, timbers. These are all the major products of the forest, firewood, fuels, and then they provide shelters and the fees, raw material for industries, many things are there. So in addition to this consumptive use value and productive use values, we have the non-consumptive use value also. So in the direct use value, I make the term bioresources. The bioresources is the flow. Biodiversity is the stock, suppose forest, water bodies, these are the biodiversity. So what kind of resources that we get from the forest or the wetlands or any habitat, that is the bioresources. So bioresources are extensively collected or extracted, and because that is required also to meet our diverse requirements or for the diverse purpose. See, another, the non-conjunctive use value, these are mostly a kind of the ecosystem services or the recreations or the traditional optional values. So next in the slide number 10, you can see here the ecosystem services, which are the indirect use value, the services provided by the nature, and at the same time we take it as granted also. We are not going to pay any amount for having a very moderate environmental conditions to get the fruits out here, which is pollinated by the different type of the insects, or the kind of the pure water, fresh air we get. These are all the different type of the ecosystem services provided by the nature, to maybe set as the balance of nature, biological and productivity, regulation of the climate, only stabilization and moderation of the climate, like the recycling of the nutrients, genetic resources, maintaining biodiversity, and many more out there. So one important thing is that economy of a nation is very much connected with the innumerable ways of the ecosystem services. But it is difficult to assign as a price tag, as we said there, means how we can give a price tag of the purifications of the groundwater contaminations as the natural ecosystem services. Like that, we have loads of the regulatory services, provisioning services, and cultural services that is provided by the nature, and that's what we talk about the ecosystem services. And so briefly understanding about the environments, biodiversity, and this value of the biological diversity. Now I just want to bring to the different environmental problems. So there are the local environmental problems, regional environmental problems, and global environmental problems. So here we are talking about the Some of the common environmental problems out there, like air pollution and climate change, this is also the major concerns of the environmental crisis across the globe. Deforestation is also the one of the important environmental problems, and change in land use and land covers, and whereby as the land cover is affected, the habitats are degraded, there will be obviously threat to the biological diversity, and that leads to the extinction of the species. And then there is the opportunist species that invade in a particular area, and then that the particular native species are being dominated by the certain invasive species. So then as there is a degradation of the land, deforestation, obviously soil binding will be affected, and then degradation of the soil erosions, landslides, and then lots of the water pollutions, water freshwater crisis are there. And one important thing that we are facing even at the household level is the solid waste disposal. We have a lot of the stuff that comes every day when we go to the market, and that are the many of them are the non-degradables, talking about the plastic waste. So how to dispose the solid waste, that is also the important crisis or the concern as one of the environmental problems when we talk about. Like there are numbers of the environmental problems that is concerning in the different parts of the country or as at a global level, even if we see at local level also. Here we can analyze ourselves. What are the environmental problems in our locality? So we can start from our household levels. What are the how much of waste and what type of waste we are generating? What our activities actually affect or degrade or damage the surrounding environment. Likewise, we can keep on thinking, and we should ever to try to understand what are the local environmental problems and how the local environmental problems map or contribute to the regional environmental problems and as a whole to the global environmental problems. Well, next to the slide number 12, so that kind of the environmental problems we are talking about, now, these are actually all because of the increased human populations. Why? With the increasing human populations, there is increasing demand of resources. And to meet the increasing demand of resources, obviously there will be the extensive exploitation of the resources or harvesting of resources from the surrounding environment. And at the same time, there is a need of the habitations for the increased population. So natural habitats or the wilderness, it will be enclosed for the new human habitations, maybe for the expansion of the agricultural fields out there. And that actually makes, and if there is a new habitations, roadways connectivities to get the better infrastructures so that the people living in that particular life have the good welfare or well-being out there. And then numbers of the industries have to be set up to meet the demands or the requirements of the daily for the day-to-day life or as for the energy requirements. And that all actually makes the environments a larger threat in terms of the exploitations, degradations, and then the overall damage to environmental system. So means root causes of the any kind of the environmental problems starts from the increasing human populations and
Oh, disconnected. Ma'am, hello? Ma'am, मैम आप अपना मतलब वो ऑन करके आप अपना मोबाइल दूर में रखिए, उसका भी साउंड आ रहा है बैकग्राउंड में। हाँ हाँ, मतलब आपका मोबाइल का भी साउंड आ रहा है। मैं हाँ हाँ, मतलब आप साइलेंट में नहीं, थोड़ा सा दूर रखिए मतलब मैम। ओ ओके 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 मैम, आप फिर से ज्वाइन हो जाइए मैम प्लीज़। ओके मैम, ओके मैम, ओके मैम। Participants, please bear with us. Resource person again got disconnected. She is joining again. तो मेरे को कोई लाभ नहीं, इसमें तो मेरा कोई हाथ नहीं है ना। তাৰমানে তাই নেটৱৰ্ক খুব বেয়া, মোৰ নহয়। মোবাইল দিয়ে কৰি আছে, ফোন আহি আছে, কাটি আছে, বুজি পোৱা নাই। এইবিলাক মানে ক'লোৱে, বুজিয়ে নাপালে। এইবিলাক নকবি আৰু, এইবিলাক হয়েই আৰু মিটিঙত। এইটোত বেছি প্ৰব্লেম হৈছে। হৈছে আৰু দেই, ষ্টাৰ্টিংটোতে ইমান প্ৰব্লেম হৈছে আৰু। Hello, ma'am. Hello, Ashalata, ma'am. Can you
Hello.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please unmute yourself. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Ashalata, ma'am, you are audible, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you are
Okay,
audible.
fine. Shall I start?
Yeah,
Continue
ma'am.
what?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. Just you tell me which slide number.
Slide number 13.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So is the slide display, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, in this particular slide, I just want to project the increasing trend of the human population in the northeastern regions, taking account of the data from the 1971 till the latest census of the 2011. So from this figure and then the data given out here, we can see that the populations of the northeastern regions are also increasing a lot. So then with the increasing population means there is the much pressure or a demand of the bioresources and other resources requirements for the human livelihood. That's what means. Just want to pause it with this slide. And then in the slide number 14, just I want to share the what kind of the environmental problems are in the northeastern region. There are several environmental problems in the northeastern regions, as the northeastern region comprises of the 8 states which are unique in their own characteristics. So then one environmental problems of a particular state may have the similar or may vary with the other environmental problems of the other state. But in generalized, when we put together, there are some common issues in the northeastern regions which are prevalent across these 8 states. So taking account of that, some of the environmental problems in the northeastern regions, say for example, to be listed first as the degradation of the forest area, deforestation, and then the change in the land use and land cover, spread of the invasive species, then we have the human-wildlife conflict, you see the overexploitation and illegal extractions, floods out there. But these environmental problems are not independent to each other. They are interrelated with each other. Say, for example, human-wildlife conflict, it doesn't come as such. It is because of the degradations of the habitat of the wild animals. Say, for example, the reductions or the fragmentations or the encroachment of the forest area may be or it's the primary causes of the human wildlife conflict. And exploitation of resources, that also makes the threat to the biological diversity, and then the reduction in the bioresources available out there, and then that make the chance for the alien species to invade. And there are numbers of the environmental consequences like the floods and soil erosions related to the degradations of the landscape and deforestation. So deforestation is one of the primary environmental problems facing in the northeastern regions, and there are certain factors also or the underlying causes of deforestation in the northeastern regions. In the another slide, we see that also there are numbers of the industrial activities. Say for example, cement industries, fertilizer industries, paper and pulp industries. There are numbers of the petroleum industries out there. And mining is also the one concern in the northeastern regions when we talk about the fragile ecosystem of the northeastern regions. Different ecosystem in the hilly area or the forest area are quite fragile, and then that hilly areas or the natural resources are also full of the mineral resources that need to be tapped for the developments or the economy of the nations. So then mining comes a kind of the concern in terms of the environmental degradations and the loss of the forest area as well as the wild animals. And landslide is associated with the land degradations. And there are numbers of the developmental projects out there, maybe the river valley projects, construction of dams, infrastructure development, roadway connectivities, and many things out there. And all these activities or the different discharges from these industries, mining, and many other factories out there. And then actually this map a kind of the pollutant pool dispersing the environments, and that makes the pollution problems in the air, water, and the soil access. So then, just in the slide number 16, I will try to just focus the deforestation and effect of the deforestation. And to understand the consequence effects of the deforestation, we need to understand the importance and value of the forest. Why forest is important? if you see the forest, even in this two diagrammatic representations given out here in this slide, you see that different type of the trees are growing out here, and trees are of the different canopies or different branches out there. Their leaves are different, their flowering times are different, their fruitings are different, and then they are of the different height, and they are associated with the numbers of the other plant species, which may be the climber, which may be the epiphytes, and many more are there. So then forest is the composition or complex combinations of the different tree species of shrubs out there. And when you have the diverse species of the plants in a particular habitat, say for a forest, you have the large numbers of the associated wild animals, because these actually habitats provide food and shelter for the numbers of the wild animals. So that we can say that the forests are the habitats, or they provide habitat for the numbers of the plants and animals. Forests do provide the numbers of provisions, goods, and services, and then the people inhabiting nearby the forest area, their livelihood largely depends upon the forest resources, and they also take care of forest resources, as understand that their future generation is also going to depend upon the forest resources. But the concern is that when there is the over exploitations beyond the carrying capacity of the forest, that makes the degradations or unscientific or unsustainable exploitation of the resources. Forest provides the tourism also, because when there is a dense forest with the high animals or the wild animals out there, that forest comes under the protected area. And protected areas also gives an avenue for the earning in terms of the tourism as for the local peoples out there. So overall, forest maintains and regulate the climate. They also provide ecosystem services. They maintain the biological diversity. Overall, protect the environments, in addition to the kind of the aesthetic and the recreation values out there. When we are so tried in our daily lives now, we too must pack out there when you feel I need that break. Then where we usually go, we go to the wilderness or the natural habitat for from the cities or the towns just for the 2-3 days, where we can research ourselves mentally and physically. And when we come back, then we can actually work very efficiently with the productive manner. So forests do have the service in terms of value and service are enormous. Just a few just been listed out. Then next slide, in slide number 17, when we talk about the causes of the deforestation. See, from the picture itself, without reading text, one can easily see there is a felling of the trees. There is the felling of the trees as well as the burning of the or the felled trees or the clearing of the forest. Clearing of the forest, why it is being clear, it may be for the conversion of the natural vegetations to some kind of the monotypic commercial crops or the case crops. Say for example, in northeastern region is very common that we have these rubber plantation and palm oil plantations. That is actually affecting the habitat of wildlife as well as the local environmental conditions. That is the great concerns of the transformations or the change of the forest cover into the monotypic case crop agriculture plantations. Like that, there is the burning of the forest out there is the intensive grazing out there, many things are there. And as per the requirements of the peoples, there is also felling of the trees, which may be illegal or illegal felling of the timber is also the major concern. And in some parts of the northeastern region, there is the felling of these forest wood also, especially for the productions of the charcoal that we use largely during the winter season to get warm ourselves or in the house out here. And development of the infrastructures or expansion of the network, like for example, roadway connections, expansion of the roadways, and new developments of the development activities out there, that actually needs the some kind of the threat or the degradations of the natural habitats of the forest out there. When you have the degradation of the forest, so that means that it may be because of the expansion of the road length. It may be the construction of the new roadways, new villages, or the new developmental activities, or the construction of the dams, the river valley projects, etc. And that all comes as the major purpose. So likewise, the mining is also the one of the important concern for the deforestation, because if you have to mine that particular area, you need to clear the particular vegetations growing out there so that the workers can enter and then load it and bring out the mineral resources. That is suppose coal mining is also the one of the concern. In Meghalaya also we know that the kind of the red coal mining is out there. So I think in next slide will be coming also. So it means that there are numbers of the developmental projects, there are numbers of the industry related, economic related activities like mining, and there are numbers of the activities that actually tends to meet their domestic requirements, and several activities right from the domestic the economic level of the nations put together, and that actually causes the some kind of the issues or factors for the degradation of the forest or the felling of the trees. Yes, here it is that the next slide you see the impact of the coal mining on the forest. Impact of the coal mining in the forest. Here that can find that the examples of the Meghalaya, the redwood minings are there, then the deposits of the coals after extracted in the natural vegetations, the lands are affected, the waters are polluted with the high acid contents, and then the whole landscape is being converted in abandoned or the wasteland where there is not possible for the cultivation of the agriculture for the going for the reforestation programs that we have. And the major issue is the threat of this endangered species like the Nepenthes khasiana because of the coal mining in the Meghalaya is also the great concern. So in some of the figure you can see the red ore mining, the water pollution out there, burning of the forest or the landscape to clear it for the habitations or the settlement of the labor out there, and then resource extractions, loading in the nearby vegetation area. And these all things actually affects the natural vegetations and the landscape assess the damage. Then see, when we talk about the felling of the trees and then the transformation of the forest area to the another habitats or the new habitats like the agricultural practice, that you have a number of the consequences effect in terms of the structure and function. So in the slide number 19, you can see what are the structural changes and functional changes in the forest. Say for example, one big tree is fell down. So if the tree is big or ample size of girth having the large canopy coverage, then if it is fell down, then that particular area will be the quite opening. So the kind of the microenvironmental conditions that is prevailing with the existence of that tree in the ground floor, if that trees are fell down, then that microenvironmental conditions is also changes. So if the trees are fell down, direct sunlight can reach to the ground vegetation, which are actually obstructed by the canopy coverage of the trees. So then in that particular opening area, the kind of the vegetations or the insects or the animals present out here, which is no more suitable to meet their requirements of the habitat survival because direct sunlight is coming. So then in that particular area, it may so happens that there are certain species that the advantage of that particular area. Some of the light demanding plants or animals will come up and colonize out there. Then there is the structural changes or the composition of the species also changes if the forest trees are fell down. So then if a particular forest area is been fragmented, say for example in between there is the no way that the roadways or the railway tracks have to be connected, then forests have to be cleared in between, and then the forest, one track of the forest will become two plots. So then fragmentations happens, and then isolations of the habitat. There are certain animal species which are quite arboreal and they never come down. If there is no close canopy of the trees, then and the tree forests are fragmented, then the populations of that particular species will remain in that particular pocket. They cannot mix with the other plots where their family individuals are separated apart. So that makes the isolations of the population of the species and do actually affect the population viability also. And then actually threat and resource also being affected as the forest trees are fell down. And then another important thing is that the outbreak of a zoonotic disease, as we talk about, the transfer of some kind of a disease from the wild animals, particularly the vertebrates, to the human. And how it happens is that when the forest area are degraded and there is the close proximity of the wild animals with the human habitations, and that may so happens that the kind of a pathogen is there in a particular wild animals may reach to the human or may reach to the domesticated animals and then to the human. So then these are some kind of the chances of disease outbreak with the shrinkage of the forest and the close proximity or the encounter of the wild animals and human beings. Like that, we talk about the COVID-19 also, as per so for evidence that it is all because of the zoonotic disease. So like that, there are numbers of the other natural hazards in terms of the flood occurrence, landslides, soil erosions, and overall global climate change because trees sequester huge amount of the carbon dioxide in plant biomass. And if trees are fell down, then carbon dioxide is again released back in the atmosphere, increasing the high concentration of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and then obviously increasing the global climate change. So when we talk about the invasive species, here you can see some of the invasive plant species that many of us may encounter in our nearby localities. Say, for example, Alternatria species are there, Pomeria species, Parthenium species are there, and then you have the Equiteria, Mycorrhiza, and then Mimosa diplotrica, which is also the one of the invasive species in the Kaziranga, and then Kaziranga forest departments are facing quite intensive care, need to be taken care in order to avoid or the damage this particular invasive species. We have the water hatchets, Senna species, and the lantana. So like it, there are many more invasive species which are commonly embedded in the native place and actually dominate our native plant species. And many of the invasive species are, as we all know, they do have some kind of the chemical effect which is not useful for the domestic animals, means as for foders and for the potential economic use. So they actually embed the whole native landscape and then destroy the native plant species, and thereby changes the land species compositions. And this picture, I just try to bring the understanding that how the species, in the slide number 21, how the species correlate with each other or interrelated with each other. When we talk about the food web, first we need to understand the primary producers, then the primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumer. So plants serve as a food resources for a number of the herbivorous animals, and herbivores act as the food for the primary carnivores, like, and then primary carnivores, herbivores, again they act as the food for the secondary and tertiary carnivores. And then there is also the decomposers that do play important roles for the decomposition of that remains of the plants and animals and excreta of the animals, and then helps in cycling of the inert nutrients. So food energy is transferred from one organism to another organism. So it means that when there are one components of the living organism is being removed or affected in terms of their population size, how actually it will affect the other dependent species. If there is no primary producers, there will be no herbivores. If there is no herbivores, then there will be no carnivores. So then whole system fails, and then the area becomes a barren or the degraded land. So in order to have the close network to be maintained or maintain a balanced ecosystem, there is need to have the different species of the different trophic level. When there is a diverse species in the different trophic level, then only that particular habitat will be the balanced habitat. So forest, as we said, you find a different type of the tree species. One of the tree species may be a good source of the some of the birds, or maybe good source of the some other animals. So like the different sources of the foods are available or provided by different tree species. Therefore, that would actually make the favorable habitat for the numbers of the wild animals, and they coexist each other. and then maintains a complex balanced ecosystem out there, providing all the services, whether from the food services, provision services, etc., to the humankind. And that is what we need. That's why the protection of forests is very relevant. Then what are the concerns which are actually related with the structure and functional changes of the deforestation? So in the slide number 22, I just list out a certain environmental concern that is related to the deforestation. Say for example, environmental or the habitat degradation. We have discussed also loss of habitat for prey and predators. If you fell the trees, that animal will be exposed also, and then instead of food, they will come around, move around, and they may reach to the human habitation area. Then it comes also the issue of the human-wildlife conflict. This is very common in the northeastern regions, particularly with the human-elephant conflict that in spreading fields at the time of the harvest is being damaged by the hurt of the elephants, and then in order to protect, they use the electrification, fencing, or the chili smoke that actually affect the animals also, and then that is what they are trying to encounter or mitigate the issue of the human-wildlife conflict. Like that, the leopards enters in the villages and then attack the domestic animals. Many things are happening when we talk about the forests are degraded, habitat are lost, food for the wild animals are lost, animals come out, stray away from their natural habitat in search of food, and then they meet the village area where they actually find the food resources, and then becomes the conflict of the human wildlife, etc. So then when the trees are fell down, all the trees are there, and then there is loss of the productivity also, and the loss of species also, loss of bioresources also. And then why it is very important to talk about the loss of the species is that, as we mentioned in the previous third or fourth slide, that Earth, we have so far estimated is about 1.5 million species. Yet many millions of these species to be discovered and to understand in a scientific way. So if deforestation goes on and then threat the survival of species and leading to the extinction of these species, it may so happen that those unexplored area or those forest area which are yet to be inventoried is being degraded or destroyed because of certain developmental activities, and it may so happens that that particular area is full of the potential medicinal plants or the species under the conservation status. So before being inventoried, it may so happens that large number of the species lost from the habitat. And that is what we are facing also. Northeastern region also, certain parts of the Arunachal Pradesh and other parts of the states are very less explored area and need the intensive field explorations to inventory, to discover the numbers of new species out there and to understand the potential value of that particular species. So that is what it is important and to talk as a major concerns of the deforestation. As we talk about invasive species, is also issue, global climate change, agricultural vulnerabilities, like the pests coming out for zoonosis, as we discussed. So like the numbers of these natural hazards also associated with the deforestation. And then when we do more deforestation related to the mining, means now it is very much concerned and everyone knows about that the coal mining in the and then people's voice to stop the approvals and then let the forest remains protected and undisturbed because of this tapping of the coal mining. Understanding that what are the consequence effects of the coal mining in a particular tropical lowland forest, it is very important to make that particular protected area intact and then go for the alternative source of the resources or maybe other measures how to get the natural resources from the other parts, and how important is to protect the species present in that particular area. That all needs to be understood, and only we will able to come up with some kind of solutions or alternative measures how to protect the forest area as means in terms of the protected areas. So some pictures here pick up. And then here in one of these papers, you can go in details with the links given provided out here, is that the environmentalists had warned that we are putting more of the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and we have found that the forest and the ocean can absorb. Ocean also do absorb the atmospheric carbon dioxide, and forests also do absorb the atmospheric carbon dioxide. So the more is been putting up beyond, it can be sequenced here. So that is why it is the issue. So it means that the resources are harvested at the alarming rate in a way that the harvested resources, the extent of the collection is much more air carrying capacity. That's why the earth is in jeopardized and it has been degraded as because of the over exploitation of the resources. Then what is required to do for the conservations of the forest or to have the healthy environments? So first comes in mind is that we need to make aware ourselves and our fellow members is what the importance of the forest is and what kind of environment it is good for the human health and livelihoods out here. So then for the protection of forests, first come is the afforestation, plantations of the trees. So then all those of the degraded area where it has been fell down, it is abandoned, go for the plantations, go for the native plant species, and then we plant the trees out. That is the one way that we can go for the restoration of the forest, degraded forest ecosystem. So this is how it is being important assets, and then we need to have the research and monitoring in different habitats or ecosystems so that we understand better what are the underlying causes and what may be the mitigation strategies to be formulated to conserve that particular area. So when policy development is also really very important research because governments should make laws to protect the environment, not to pollute, not to fell trees, and then to go for some kind of the alternative resources. And then we have to go for the some kind of the reuse and recycle products out there. And as we said that integrated biodiversity planning for the protections of the overall biodiversity and the balanced environment is very important. And here I just got this picture from one of the presentation of the Dr. Dilip Setri, who is working in RNL. So here in this given wildlife sanctuary, you see, because of the railway trade, the forests are fragmented. And then you see the givens out there. Givens are truly arboreal. They remains placed in the canopy cover, trees canopy. So if you have this canopy cover is being fragmented or kept apart, then they could not move from one place of forest to another place of forest. So likewise here, the railway tracks makes the opening of the forest, but as for the effort of the forest departments and then the local awareness, plantations going on in different parts of the different ways along the railway track, and now it is being connected that helps the events movement from one place to another place. That is why some kind of the measures have to be come up along with the participation of local peoples and to make importance why the conservation of the natural habitat is so important, why the presence of this particular species is so important in that area, and what makes their locality significant in terms of the biodiversity and diversity. That all things need to be understood by the people also, and that have to be supported by the government, concerned government agencies. So that is the achievements of the plantations that make the successful connectivity of one component to another component, which help the movements of the given from one component to the another. Just the example. So then, here it comes. So now it comes as that means we should think and act for the conservation. The concept of the conservation here it comes. The conservations when we talk about is that to mitigate the effects of the environmental degradation. We need to conserve our environment. Why we need to conserve our environment is that because this conservation environment simply indicates the sustainable use as well as the management of natural resources, of all the wildlife, air, water, and then the upon pure water we should get, fresh air we should get it, we should get all kind of resources out here. So then whatever it has been damaged or it has been jeopardized by different human activities, that need to be saved and restored. And whatever resource available, we need to use it very judiciously. So that means the resources available for our future generations. The main focus of the conservations we talk about is maintaining a healthy natural environment. That is what it comes. So conservation is also a social practice that involves the protection and sustainable use of the resources. So you have to use it at the same time you have to maintain it and you have to make it available for the next requirements to be used. Then I think once is last slide probably. Then we may think of why we should conserve the biodiversity, why we should conserve the environments. If I do not conserve the biodiversity, also if I do not conserve the environment, also is the peoples who are doing for the conservations, what differs. It is a thing. But then individual role is very important when we talk about the conservations of the biodiversity, or when we have to put our hands or individual's role in maintaining a balanced environment. So we talk about the put up in 3 points why we should conserve the biological diversity. We said narrowly, utilitarian value means we derive all the countless direct economic benefit from nature. Okay. And then this biodiversity also play all the ecological services that provides means that is actually we are experiencing, so we are taken as granted. And there are many means intangible benefits that we derive from the nature. Instead from the aesthetic values, cultural values, and many things are there. So then in the beginning, when we talk about loss of biodiversity, this loss of biodiversity is not the loss of the particular species. It also do affect the loss of the cultural identity. In the northeastern regions, there are numbers of the indigenous communities whose livelihood closely interrelated with the natural resources or a particular plants or animal species. If that particular important plants and animal species are lost or extinct locally, then their cultural, socio-cultural practice are also affected. So that do affect the cultural identity of the community. So there are very associated issues related with the loss of the biological diversity. And when we talk about the ethical values, as we said, all the living organisms on this planet have equal right to live as we human beings. Means every species has an intrinsic value. Okay, no one is lost, no one is, as we said, that if we fell the trees, means what is not. What trees provide to us. If we hunt the animals, then we have to think of this, what the importance of this particular animals that we are hunting. If we degrade the natural habitat, what does it cost? So that also need to be understood. Overall, we need to maintain the biological legacy in a good order for the future generations. So that's why we need to conserve the biological diversity. And when we talk about the environment, is that environments play an important role in healthy living and also the existence of this life on the planet. We all know that our Earth is the only planet in the solar system where life is. Planet is not essence. So why it is so? So Earth is the home of the different living species, and we are all dependent on the environment. Human being cannot alone live on the Earth. Our survival depends upon the natural resources, bioresources. If there is no natural resources, no bioresources, we human beings cannot survive at all. So survival of the human beings need to have a healthy environment, healthy natural ecosystem. That is why we need to conserve the environment. So environment is vital to our well-being. They are the source of the vital resources. And then that's why we need to halt or minimize all that kind of our expectations and then pollution problems out there, and we need to come together to come up with a solutions or strategies to improve the quality of the life. So while thinking of that, we can follow the guidelines for reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover. So how is here we can think of that is how what type of items can reuse, what items can we reuse, what are the items that can go for the recycling, and then combinations of the reuse and recycling go for the recovery also. That is what comes from the individual levels, how we can give our individual role towards the conservation of the environment. So that is all about my presentations. Just briefly try to understand together about environments, biodiversity, and the effects of the deforestation concerning the Northeast states. So this is my last slide. So thank you so much. So I would like to interact with some of the participants if time is available. A lot of the interruptions between the presentations.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a
Thank you, ma'am. It was a highly informative
presentation.
presentation.
Ma'am,
Ma'am, there are a lot of questions. Can you hear me, Ashalata, ma'am?
Yes, yes, but your voice is very low.
okay, ma'am. Can you
Oh, okay, ma'am. Can you hear it now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello. Yeah, ma'am, we have a lot of questions, but due to time constraint, ma'am, we can only allow one single question, ma'am.
Okay, fine.
Okay, ma'am, there is a question from Satyajit Das from Bhattadev University. His question is, respected madam, what is your opinion regarding ecotourism, which may be an essential tool for conservation of nature resources and wildlife in Northeast India?
Okay. Ecotourism. Actually, ecotourism, when we talk about it, should come in such a way that the involvement of the local people, need of the local people, as well as the significance of the or importance of the biological diversity existed out here, that all need to be understood first. Ecotourism is not be like that one private company from the other state come in their particular village area and they start their ecotourism. That ecotourism, it have to be only from the local peoples. Local peoples have to make the ecotourism in a way that they may allow the tourists to come and stay in their home as a homestay. There should not be a definite concrete constructions of the lodging out there, and food provided should be some kind of indigenous food that they are having in their life. Means in their, suppose one community is to have the cultural food diversity. That kind of the cultural food diversity is should be served to the tourists. And then when a tourist visit out there, tourists need to respect, and that have to be made understand by the local peoples or local guide that what are the pros and cons, or what are the some kind of do's and don'ts in that particular area. Is where you can see the some kind of the wild animals out there. Suppose may come for the bird watching, some may come for the to go for the handicrafts out there, some may come for the cultural diversity or cultural folks also. That all avenues should come in one package for the sightseeing of saying of nature, cultural packages out there, foods out there, and the lodging is to be accompanied in their homestay. So that means, and then all kind of the waste generated, it should be closely managed in a way that tourism should not allow to bring any kind of the non-recyclable materials. And then local people should offer foods and items in a what is said a natural way, like that in some of the home tourisms or the ecotourisms, they do offer food in the bamboo basket or the banana leaves out there. So that means when a tourist comes, ecotourism concept is should be that they actually experience as one of the individuals of that indigenous communities, and then enjoy the beauty of the nature without jeopardizing the natural habitat. At the same time, local people also gain some monetary benefit for where they are with their beauty of the natures or the direct ecological significance. So ecotourism we can promote, it should be in participation of local people, and then it should be in harmony with the nature. Hello.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
ma'am.
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so
Thank you so much.
much.
Hello, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, it was a very, very informative presentation. Ma'am, some of them have enquiries, so they have asked for the slides to be shared. Can we share?
Will you
Will
allow
you
this?
allow
Yes,
this?
no problem. You can share it. It's no problem.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am, some of them also want to contact you regarding queries to your email ID. Can I provide them? Ma'am, whenever
Yeah,
you
you
feel free,
provide
you can.
you provide my Teju email ID.
Okay, okay, ma'am. So whatever queries they have, I'll give them the email ID. They can contact you.
Yeah, sure, sure.
Thank you so much. On behalf of the organizing committee, I'd like to thank you, ma'am. It was a very highly informative session, and we learned a lot regarding the environment. Thank you so much, ma'am. We will be signing off now.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
এটা প্ৰব্লেম এটা হৈছে এইটো শুনা নাযায় ভালকৈ দুইফালৰ পৰা বাজি আছে মানে কিবা এটা